All righty. Man, what is today's Tuesday? Current Events Tuesday.
Brother, yeah.
Well, if you don't know who I am, my name is Justin.
Oh, and mine's JP.
And we are the Podcasting Dad, as the name might hint at. We do talk about The Walking Dead sometimes, but we also have branched out, and such as this podcast. So if you found us randomly on the internet, consider subscribing, or if you want to listen to the podcast first and then maybe go back and subscribe, that's cool. Hit the little bell button if you do subscribe so that you get notifications. If you're on SoundCloud, well, then you know the deal. All you have to do is hit the little follow button, and how about hit the little heart, too?
Ooh.
Hearts are sweet, right?
Yeah.
But so this is the point each week, once a week, where we're doing, I think of this more of kind of like a morning show, I guess I'd say. I mean, it's more of a condensed morning show. But we're doing more current events. We're searching the internet and looking at some of the stories trending today and then kind of just discussing them. So, JP, you ready?
I'm as ready as I'm going to get, partner.
Let's start with our first one, which is coming to us from YouGov.com. I think it's .com. I just found it on YouGov. I don't really see it. Anyway, YouGov. So check this out. A third of people in a recent survey said that yes, phubbing is something they've dealt with in their relationship before. Do you know what phubbing is? Go ahead and give me your guess before I tell you what it is.
It sounds kind of like dry humping, like you're not, ucking, but you're rubbing, and you're not
ucking. You're
pressing up against, and there may be some emissions in your underpants. I know I've done that. Standing up outside
happens
of
to the best of us, brother. Standing up.
Yeah, man, that's a whole story, man. You don't want to get into the jostling.
You were like really doing some rubbing there. I don't. That's more of a random rambling Wednesday.
Let's not get into that.
No, that's actually not at all what this is. Phubbing is where someone is so focused on their phone that like you try to talk to them and they don't hear you.
Oh, well, that's not at all what I was imagining.
So it's just basically where someone has zoned you out and they're focused on their phone. And a third of people in a recent survey say that it's something they've dealt with in their relationship. My girlfriend and I do that to each other all the time.
Yeah, man, it's an epidemic. I'm telling you. Like, I find myself in certain moments where I'm like, I should be like experiencing this little slice of life. Right. But instead, I'm hypnotized by a screen.
I've also got some stats that show just how addicted we are to our cell phones. God. And I mean, we are. It's like I think we've talked about it in the podcast at some point, but I've said before that, one thing that sucks is like when someone comes to your house and they just sit down and they get on their phone, or when you're having a conversation with someone and they're on their phone. It sucks. And I mean, I know like sometimes when I'm at work, I might be on my phone. Odds are I'm looking at an email that's popped up or something that's work related, but it is annoying when you're or if you're in the middle of a good conversation and then the person just pulls out their phone in the middle of it and just kind of derails the whole thing. It's very frustrating. And cell phone addictions become a very real thing. I mean, you see people going down the road that just cannot put their phones down. Like, really? I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand if it's like a crush, maybe he's texting you. I'm not saying it's okay, but I could understand I got to check it. But I mean, half the time we're so addicted to our phones that we can't even just wait till we get out of the car to look at a simple reply.
Yeah, man. Well, college campuses have done studies where students go through physical withdrawals after so many hours of being separated from their phones, man.
No kidding.
It's scary stuff.
Well, with some of these stats, number one, 49% of people say they'd pay attention more to what was going on around them if they didn't have their phone. 20% say they wouldn't. Everyone else was on the fence. I mean, you kind of zone the world out when you're on your phone.
Tell me, man, eventually that technology is going to get integrated into our brain. It's going to merge with our biology.
Will you let it?
No, I'm not into it, man. But like our kids, they're going to live in that world. Our kids, our grandkids. It's going to be, kind of like Terminator vision where you're seeing stuff, but you got stats and everything like in your eye line. Oof.
Would you focus better in general without your phone? What do you think?
Absolutely, man. Like I said, I mean, my reading comprehension has just plummeted since I got the
My grammar's
iPhone.
Gotten terrible since I got a phone because of spell check and stuff. Yeah. I don't have to actually sound things out, so when I do have to write stuff down, I'm misspelling everything.
I mean, it's only been about 3 or 4 years since I've had a smartphone, so I mean, I've noticed the difference for sure.
43% of people, 43% of people in this survey said yes, they would focus without their phone. 24% said no. The third fact, I guess you'd call it a fact. Would you feel anxious because you wouldn't be able to instantly communicate with people?
Yeah.
44% agree.
Definitely, yeah.
44% agree. Would you feel any sense of relief if you didn't have your phone for a day?
Definitely.
You'd feel some relief?
There would be an odd mix of relief and anxiety.
Well, 29% said yes, they would have some relief. 34% said no relief, and 37% just weren't sure. Now, number 5, would you feel weird without your phone because you wouldn't know what to do?
Yeah, it's become a part of me. It's, just like that thing between my legs. I mean, it's right here on my side. I can grab it whenever I want.
Wait, the thing between your legs is on the side?
I'm talking about my penis. My phone's on my side. I'm just saying.
You said just like your...
Yeah, it's just like my penis.
So it's also on the side?
No. Well, it does lean a little to the left, but it's not literally on the side. I'm saying that's in the middle. My phone's on the side.
I was going to say, do you stretch it around and like holster it or something?
No, not yet anyway.
Just for when your girlfriend lets you know she's ready to go, you're like...
Yeah, I'm just saying I like to grab on both.
Okay, nothing wrong with that. Actually, the minority said that they only 22% said that at least they admitted. 22% admitted they would feel uncomfortable. You got some people that try to lie about it. How often do you leave the house without your phone? 67% said rarely or never. 22% said every now and then, and 8% said regularly, and 2% said they never take their cell phone anywhere. I feel like you at least got to have it in a car.
I mean, I never leave the house on purpose without it,
Just think about the days, and I do remember the days. I mean, I did get my first cell phone around 16-ish, but remember the days where like you had to drive and you didn't have a cell phone. If you broke down, you just had to hope that the next person who stopped and let you use their phone or give you a ride wasn't an axe murderer. Or that anybody was going to ride by at all.
Yeah,
you know
what
I mean?
GPS. You just had to kind of find your way to where you were going.
Now, if your car's messing up, you just call somebody from your cell phone, and you're like, "Hey, my car overheated. Can you come get me?" Back then, when you didn't have one, I mean, it was a scarier situation, which wasn't scary at that time, but. Well, I mean, I'm sure it was at times, but it probably wasn't something they had freakouts about. But kids today of this generation, us included,
no clue.
Have like little panic attacks if we think we have to go on a long drive without our phone.
Yep.
Let's see. And finally, when you're at home and walk into a different room, do you usually bring your phone with you? This one was 50-50. Half said yes, half said no. How about you?
Yeah, man. I generally keep it on my person.
JP said it depends on if his girlfriend's at the house or not. If she's not at the house, then he'll just leave it. But if he is, he don't want her snooping through it, so he'll take it all over the place.
I definitely don't like prying eyes looking at my screen.
You don't want her going through your internet search history, right? That's between you and the folks up in the CIA who monitor.
Yeah. They definitely they have some questions for me, I'm sure.
Yeah, so, very interesting. Definitely cell phone addiction has been on the rise.
I'm telling you, if you're looking for a good graphic novel that kind of illustrates the dangers with that stuff, Tokyo Ghost.
You've read that for a while. I remember you telling me a while back, right?
Yeah. It's wrapped up now. It's just like a limited series, maybe 7, 8, 9 issues. But
and it was really good?
Yeah, Rick Remender, all about like a future where people have literally merged with technology, and it's scary stuff.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that is really cool.
Definitely recommend it. Tokyo Ghost.
Tokyo Ghost. Well, our next story also comes to us from YouGov. We just kind of searched the internet on things trending today, and this is what we find. So YouGov must be on their stuff today. But now let's talk about kissing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about kissing.
About you and I kissing?
We said we'd never speak of that again.
All right.
No, we're talking about kissing in general. JP, how many people have you kissed in your life?
Oh, man.
I need a rough estimate. You don't have to count everyone. I need you to just ballpark figure. Just think about it.
Dude, there's been so many blackouts. It's really hard to gauge. I mean, honestly, it is hard to get. Like my college years.
So, were we talking in the hundreds? Are we talking?
Not in the hundreds, no, but definitely dozens. I mean, definitely dozens.
Okay, all right. Well, according to a recent survey, get this, 5% of adults have never been kissed.
5%, really?
They shared Drew Barrymore's issues. Wasn't it Drew Barrymore?
Yeah,
never been kissed. Yeah, I forgot about that. What's funny is if you bought the Blu-ray version of Fight Club, when it starts and it comes up to the DVD menu is actually starts off as never been kissed. And you're like, did I get the wrong movie? What the hell? And after like 5 or 6 seconds, the screen starts flickering and messing up, and it goes to Fight Club. 4% have only ever kissed one person.
Jeez. They must be Amish.
29% have kissed somewhere between 2 and 10. 24% have kissed between 11 and 50, and 15% have kissed more than 50 people. JP, are you in that 50? Would you say over 50?
Man, it's hard to say.
Or are you in the 24% that's between 11 and 50? I think that's right where I probably am.
Yeah.
I don't think over 50 people is a lot of people.
Adolescents all the way. Yeah, that's hard, man.
So you'd say you're probably, if you had to guess, in the 24% that's between 11 and 50.
Yeah.
It's been at least 11, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Without a doubt.
JP's like, yeah. Yeah, most definitely.
A lot of those kisses were not warranted or desired, but they happened anyway.
Well, wait, what?
I'm just saying the Italians, that's like shaking a hand. You just plant one on somebody.
You just might want to make sure that they're Italian and they're comfortable with that, though.
No, I learned the hard way, believe me.
Probably several times, right?
Yeah, more than a few. I've always had a little learning curve, so.
Well, we were just talking about people being distracted by their phones, and I don't know if our next story was actually a phone distraction or not, but definitely one of those where you want to be like, where was your head at, woman? This one comes to us from Gulf News. So over the weekend, a flight from Saudi Arabia to Malaysia had to turn around and return to the gate because a woman on board forgot her newborn baby in the terminal at the airport. Maybe it was just really newborn, and she's so used to not having a baby that she still just wasn't used to having a baby.
Man, this is like Home Alone, but way, way worse.
Airport Alone.
Yeah, and you have no defenses because you're a newborn baby.
That's true. She left her kid in the boarding area, and it's not clear if she had any other children with her. God, I hope not. Hopefully that's her first and only. But we don't even know how she got that distracted. She didn't even realize it until they already pushed back from the gate. Some reports say the plane had actually taken off before she realized the baby was missing, but the plane was probably just like moving on the runway. But either way, planes don't usually turn around just because someone forgets something at the airport. But obviously, this was a little different. You can actually find audio of the pilot talking to ground control.
I would have been so pissed off if I was on that flight. And I mean, that's obviously some Freudian stuff. I mean, they say there are no accidents. She clearly didn't want that baby and just left it behind.
You think so?
Whether she was aware of it or not. I mean, like I said, they say in psychology there are no accidents. So, I mean, yeah, I think she was just like, man, I don't know, baby.
I'm trying to see if she's the one that was like, hey, I forgot my baby, turn around, which I imagine happened. But maybe you're right. Maybe that was her attempt to ditch the baby.
Oh, it totally was, man. Like I said, whether she was consciously doing it or not.
Do you know this woman, JP?
That ain't my baby. What are you trying to say?
I mean, it could be. So check this out. We always think of criminals as lowlives, thugs, and degenerates, right? Like that's you don't mean to, but that's always what you think of. If I talk about somebody robbed a bank or someone robbed a convenience store, you typically think of like some punk kid that just hasn't had enough whoopings in his life, right?
Unless the charges are against me, yeah, they're total lowlifes and scumbags.
Well, it's not always the case. Cops in San Diego have been looking for a serial bank robber who's pulled off several heists in the last few months, and the first one happened back in December. And last week, they finally arrested a 43-year-old guy named Carl, who happens to be a neuroscientist, and he's got a PhD, meaning he's Dr. Carl. According to his LinkedIn page, he studied brain sciences at the University of California, Santa Barbara, and he's worked at Dartmouth, Boston University, and the University of California, San Diego. He was also in the Marines before that.
Jeez Louise.
They arrested him last Tuesday, after he tried to rob a Navy Federal Credit Union about 15 miles of San Diego. Now he's robbing the Navy.
Dude, that's like some Breaking Bad type stuff.
I was thinking,
that's like a Walter White sort of situation.
If maybe he used his knowledge of the brain to trick people into giving him the money, you know what I mean? Like whereas Walter White used his knowledge of chemistry to make meth, this guy used his knowledge of the brain to get money somehow.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. That's wild, though.
He's got 7 counts of bank robbery and 2 counts of attempted bank robbery. Could get about 15 years if he's convicted. So It's not always like some degenerate little punk kid that's doing this. Sometimes it's a guy with a PhD, which is going to do him no good in prison.
So it doesn't say anything about his motivation or his,
He wanted to get that money.
Yeah, I mean, that's always a motivation, but like they have like outrageous gambling debts or I don't know.
Not to my knowledge, but
that's wild, man. That's wild.
But yeah, so I don't know, man. I think that's. I'm trying to see what else we've got.
Somebody like that has cowboyitis, man. Like deep down, they want to get caught. He probably wanted the adulation. He wanted to be in the headlines. Guaranteed.
You think so?
Oh yeah, dude.
He's just so smart. He's bored, so he's like,
man. Probably thought nothing he's doing is exciting or wild. So he's like, man, I'm gonna start robbing banks. And deep down, he wants to get caught, so he's in the papers, and everybody's like, man, that dude's a badass. Cutting into brains, robbing banks.
I don't know if anybody thinks of it like that, but they might. They might.
That's how I think about it, man.
So let's do some good news. We always try to say it's nothing but negative press, and social media is just a straight-up drag, so much so that like I've considered just deactivating my Facebook. Because it's depressing. It really is. But we like to give you some good stories, and I've got two that we're going to go with. The first one will just make you say, aw. So everybody in the studio ready to say aw here in a few minutes? All right, I want to hear your aw's. So if you've ever tried to get a teenager up for school, you'll appreciate this story. So, Mom, if you're listening, I'm sure you will, because I was apparently the worst child in the world to get up. Geez. But there's a woman in New Jersey who's been on dialysis for a while now. And if she doesn't go in for regular treatments, she could die.
Ooh.
One of her neighbors has been shoveling her driveway all winter to make sure that she can get her car out. But he's a paramedic and had to, go to work when this big snowstorm hit. So his little brother stepped up and helped. His name's Patrick, and he's a high school senior. He offered to wake up before school and shovel the driveway. But he knew it would take a while, so he was smart about it, and he asked his friends for help. So 4 of them ended up sleeping over at his house that night. They all got up at 4:30 in the morning and knocked out this woman's driveway in around 30 minutes. They were hoping school might get canceled that day so they could go back to bed, but no luck. Most of them didn't sleep much, but they were all more than happy to help. The dad was so proud of him, he posted photos on Twitter. But how awesome is that?
That's really sweet, man. There's still some
I'm disgusted with both of you. I've not heard not one single aw in this studio.
I don't really aw. That
sounds like sexual release right there, don't it?
I hope it was. Was there a discharge? Was there?
That was more like, oh.
Drop trowel, I need to inspect.
No, you will inspect, and no members in this studio. You guys can inspect that once we finish.
Well, I guess we'll never know then.
Now moving on to something that's it's not as awesome as that, which those kids are awesome. I mean, like, to think, these high school seniors get up and shovel a woman's driveway when most people can't even get their kids up to do anything. So kudos to those. That was actually really cool. Found that on CNN.com. This next one comes to us from ABC 7. So 2 brothers pranked their dad for his birthday by putting up his picture on a billboard in Atlantic City along with his phone number and a message that says, "Wish my dad a happy birthday." So now he's getting hundreds of calls and texts a day.
Well, that is the worst birthday present I think I've ever heard of.
Very flattering photo they have there. You could actually, if you look it up,
dad.
you can find it. I mean, I'm not going to gauge that, but I mean, you're welcome to. I mean, he's not a bad-looking fellow.
No, his head kind of looks like an egg in that picture. But
it does. He's got that.
Got a wide jowl.
Yeah. But I wasn't really looking at the picture to judge him. But hey. That's the JP way.
Yeah, what can I say? I wouldn't, do nothing with him.
Oh, man. So let's see. Looking at some random other stuff before we wrap up here. I'm trying to see if there's anything else really to hit on before we wrap up this edition of Current Events Tuesday. Okay, no, there is one more that I wanted to cover. I knew I had something else saved on here, but I hadn't had a chance to get to it yet. So this happened before daylight savings time started, so the woman can't use that as an excuse. Like, I think we've all been blaming daylight saving times on just being dumbasses.
Throwing me off some.
I forget to do something, and I'm like, oh, daylight savings time. No, I'm just a dumbass.
That's Benjamin Franklin, man. What a wacky idea.
But I wish we could just stay in this time zone. I like it staying light until especially in the spring and summer, it stays light until 8 o'clock.
Yeah, and I like dark mornings, man. I
do too. It's depressing to be outside at 6:20 in the morning and the sun's shining.
Yeah, dude, that sunlight just punches me right in the face.
Right.
I hate it.
So 47-year-old Lori Morin of Cocoa, Florida, is facing attempted murder charges after she shot her boyfriend last Wednesday. Get this, for snoring too loudly. His name is Brett Allgood, and he's not doing all good, I'm sure. And they just started dating last month. Hopefully that was the only month they dated. They'd already been arguing about him snoring after she elbowed him in his sleep the night before. That's something with my girlfriend, man. Sometimes I'm a side sleeper. I sleep on my left side, right? And sometimes she'll sleep cuddled up, up to my back. Mm-hmm. I roll and toss and turn a lot, man. I've seriously elbowed her in the forehead 4 or 5 times now, and I'm concerned. I'm like, man, why haven't you learned to go to that side of the bed?
Jeez, are you having night terrors or something?
Nah, I just roll over. I got long arms, so I roll over, and my elbows are just 2 feet from my body. They're dangerous. And plus, in martial arts, they trained us to use the elbows, so I don't know if that's just hidden instinct that I'm not aware of. So on Wednesday, he showed up to her place with a bottle of rum, flowers, and some candy, and a box of Breathe Right snoring strips. If that's not the most romantic thing that I've ever heard, hey, baby, I got rum, candy, flowers, and Breathe Right strips. We're going to get freaky and sleep quietly. So it sounds like he was actually trying, though, right? I mean,
making the effort.
When's the last time you showed up to your girlfriend's house with a box of Breathe Right strips?
Probably
been a few weeks.
I generally sleep with homeless women, so it's really not an option.
Don't say that about your girlfriend, JP.
I'm just saying,
she is not homeless. She has a home.
There's nothing wrong with dumpster sex.
She lives with you.
Nothing wrong with dumpster
She lives
sex.
with you 2 or 3 days a week.
I wouldn't go that far.
I would, because she does. I asked you, I said, has she got anything of hers at your house? And you're like, well, she did leave this, and yeah, she left that. And
I'm saying if you rotate the 4 or 5 homeless women who cavorce with me, if that's even a word, then I'll lodge someone almost every night of the week.
When's the last time you've been to the clinic? There's one right down the road. Seriously, just a few miles away.
I can tell if someone's got something or they don't.
No, sometimes you can't.
No, I can tell it by smell.
No, sometimes you can't.
You can, man. And what you do, you put a penny under your tongue. Anyway, I
imagine your semen is the biological, the humans. It's the equivalent of stagnant water. In stagnant water, how it's teeming with bacteria and viruses.
Oh, no, dude.
There's little tadpoles and stuff swimming around.
I have a beautiful specimen, but I do seem to be ejecting less and less lately, which is fine with me.
It's probably because you're putting it out faster than your body can produce it.
The fewer of those things in circulation, the better.
Anyways, if you want to hear more about JP's masturbation or sexual habits, make sure you check out our Random Ramblings Wednesday tomorrow.
Yeah,
that's completely unfiltered and just kind of raunchy and not really for everybody.
It can also be very intelligent.
Right, yeah. We went last week from scrotum issues to exploring religions and drug use and things like that. So, and you said you got an interesting story for tomorrow, right?
I might.
You said yesterday that you did. You can't tease the listeners and then not deliver.
No, I love teasing.
I don't personally know that, but I know you've said that before. All right. So this guy was trying. Anyways, back to the story. But after they got into that bottle of rum, because I don't snore unless I've been drinking.
Is that right?
It's really weird, yeah, because I think when I'm drinking, I'll sleep on my back, whereas if I'm not drinking, I'll sleep on my sides, whereas, when you've had a few too many, you just pass out in whatever position you find yourself in. And if I'm if I'm laid on my back with my head tilted back, then if I'm breathing through my nose, I'll snore. But anyways, I only snore really when I drink, so I feel them on that. But so things went south again. He eventually got sick of arguing, said he was leaving. Then on his way out, he heard a bang, passed out. When he came to, he was laying in a pool of blood. It turned out that Lori shot him in the armpit with a shotgun. That's really specific. And that thing must have had very little spread on it. Luckily, he survived and he's in stable condition. She claimed it was an accident and didn't mean to pull the trigger. He didn't even see you pull it out. Like, so it's not like you pulled it out to scare him. You pulled it out when he turned around and then you shot him. She looks like she's a little unhinged. No, she's
crazy in the head, crazy in the bed. Usually, like Casey Anthony, man. I mean, a murderous, wild person, but man, she's hot.
She's not. She's not.
From here, she don't look too bad.
Julius, our engineer's in studio. Is she hot? No,
you
not
sure
at
you're
all.
Not looking at the guy, Julius?
I'm positive.
I mean,
I'm not JP.
She don't look too bad, brother.
I mean, she kind of does, but that's just my. I mean, again, I'm not judging, but then again, she shot a guy for snoring. So you know what? Yes, that's her. Yes.
Oh my gosh, she's ugly.
All I'm saying, man, I'd hit her with some scatter shot. That's all.
JP, save that for Wednesday. Save that for Wednesday.
That's all.
I mean, to each their own, brother.
Hey,
if that makes whatever gets you there, I guess.
Yeah.
But so that is going to wrap up our current events Tuesday. Again, this is just a little segment we do on Tuesday. It's just kind of covering stuff that's trending on the internet for the day. If you like that, make sure to hit the subscribe button. We also have Mail Call Thursdays where we do nothing but answer your questions. Random Rambling Wednesdays, of which point we talk about any and everything, and the conversations can really be thoughtful and very deep, or they can just be extremely raunchy and just make you wonder why we are even doing this. But then we have Monday, we talk about The Walking Dead. So it's a lot of different kind of content coming out of the channel.
Friday's really our only weekday off now, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And I'm sure we'll figure out something to do. We want to do a paranormal series, not like a full-time every week thing, but I would love to get them all recorded and then release them like a
5-parter.
Right, like release them once a week for, however many weeks. But like something to where we already got one listener who we've talked to who's had lots of paranormal experiences out in Britain. So we might figure out a way to phone in with him or get him tied in through Skype or something. And then we've got a friend, Jesse, who has them non-freaking stop.
She's also got a very vivid imagination.
That she does.
Yeah,
I love her to death, but that she does. JP doesn't believe in ghosts. Well, I'm not going to say JP does. JP doesn't not believe in anything. JP's just not as typically. I think we're both kind of in the same boat. We don't dismiss it.
The proof's in the pudding.
We're skeptical. I mean, I think 9 out of 10 ghost stories are just an overactive imagination.
Yeah, unless I experience something firsthand, I'm very uninclined, just
Did you know that ghost sightings have went down in the modern age?
I've heard about that. I've heard about that as well as like UFO sightings and Bigfoot sightings. Yeah.
You know why? Because when you're bored, your brain does things, and like that's why they think that that's one theory as to why in the modern age there aren't as many ghost stories, because we're always so preoccupied with our phones or whatever that our brains aren't as bored as they were in the 1800s and the 1700s and times where if you weren't overturning a government or being executed for being a peasant, you were pretty bored.
Or maybe we're so distracted by our phones, we're missing things that are all around us.
That's a good point.
Maybe it's dulling our senses.
See, that's like philosophy 101 there. That's looking at something from another perspective. I like that. I like how you turn that around.
I mean, man, a lot of people, back in the old days, like they worked sun up to sundown, by like 7 or 8 o'clock, they were freaking asleep, like my grandma, she grew up as a sharecropper,
That's very true. So, make sure to consider hitting that subscribe button. Don't forget to follow us on social media. Like I said, JP is on Periscope it's all lowercase, just at jpslim. You're on Snapchat at j_radsaw.
Yeah, not doing much with Snapchat, but I might do
harass him enough. Maybe he'll start.
I might do a Periscope cooking video tonight. I had a fan snapping me last night thinking I should get back on there. And
okay.
It's always a good time. I get a little muffed up and cook something that's usually halfway edible and listen to some
You haven't gotten food poisoning yet, so you must be doing something right. And then mine is pretty easy for Snapchat, Periscope, and Instagram. It's just I'm Justin Lloyd, all lowercase, no apostrophes, 2 L's in Lloyd. So I'm Justin Lloyd. Boom, that's it. JP, anything else you want to leave them with before we sign off?
That does it for me, brother. Just tune in for a rambling Wednesday, and we're going to ramble all over you, honey.
Just everything you say comes off as dirty.
What? No.
Yeah, and Julius is over there shaking his head.
Oh, Julius got an old dirty mind. Yeah.
Does he? Do you have a dirty mind, Julius?
Not as dirty as JP's.
I don't know that anybody in this area's mind is quite as dirty as JP. Not anybody who's not in jail.
Well, I mean, I'm no stranger to to the penal system.
Sadly, neither have I. No. I think we've both had our run-ins, but
now we're on the right side of the law. We hang out with the sheriff of our city.
Yeah.
We're doing stuff.
It's like we're not going to say we're doing good stuff. We're doing stuff.
The other stuff they don't know about,
right?
Thankfully. Exactly. And one of these days I'm going to get some dirt on him.
One of these days it's going to be like a Hank. It's going to be Hank and Walter, Heisenberg type thing going. We all going to be in a desert, which I don't know where because there's no deserts around here. But it's just like no.
Yeah, man, and he wouldn't even have to investigate that hard. He'd just have to tune into my Periscope, and he'd be like, "Okay,
all right, let's get this guy."
Yeah,
say my name.
Oh Lord,
jpslim. You're damn right.
That's why I don't keep literature in the bathroom.
True that. Given away by a book.
Yep.
Ain't that how it always goes? Well, we will catch you again tomorrow for Random Rambling Wednesdays. Again, if you're on SoundCloud, just hit the follow button, YouTube, subscribe, hit the little bell beside it so you can get notified whenever we post anything. I'm Justin.
And I'm JP.
And we're the Podcasting Dead.